It's often the case for many people that we want to go to the mountains rather than go mountain biking. Obviously, most of the time it goes hand in hand, but here in the UK, many mountain bike trails are actually far from places such as this. And they're often made up of surface trails, jumps, a load of gangs, coffee shops, and of course, a load of stoke. The question is, can you actually cut loose on a bike which is primarily designed for tarmac on commuting, onto forest tracks, single tracks, and in the mountains? Talabont on Usk, deep in the heart of the Brecon Beacons National Park, a place of tough trails with brutal climbs and descents, very much the place for a full suspension e-mountain bike. Time then maybe, folks, to introduce you to our bike for the day, the Husqvarna Grand Tourer 6. A bike which is very much about jeans, t-shirt, trainers and mild grassy tracks. Very different in mood to maybe the Extreme Cross or the Mountain Cross full suspension bikes from Husqvarna. Nevertheless, this bike and Josh's bike here actually share the same motor, the Shimano EP8 with the 630 watt-hour battery, which gives you a great amount of range. So why might you own one of these bikes? Well, for a lot of people, an e-bike is the new mode of transport to get back and forth to work. No traffic, great fitness and fresh air. You'd choose one of these over a mountain bike for practical reasons: road tyres, a hardtail for efficiency, mudguards, lights, racks for panniers. It's all there. This might well be a bike that you take on the occasional foray onto forest tracks, but by and large it's a bike for the task in hand. And mountain biking, well, that's but a very small part of that action. I am genuinely super excited about the challenge ahead of me today. Our route today is a famous UK mountain bike route known as The Gap. From Talabont on Usk, it heads south down the valley, hangs a right, then right again in a northwest direction to a saddle at around 1800 feet called Vanna Big, or Fanny Big as the tourists call it. From there, it descends due north to Brecon, cheek espresso, before returning via Canal Path, this bike's normal territory. We really shouldn't lose sight that the aim of this ride is simply to get into the mountains, off the beaten track, away from the traffic, away from the stoke of the bike park. The route that we are using today is a mix of small, quiet country roads, national cycle trails such as the Taff Trail, which goes from Brecon to Cardiff and is primarily made of forest tracks such as this. However, and I've got a choice, we can either go for the forest track or maybe branch off onto something a little bit more tasty, a bridleway which takes us to the ridge. What do you reckon? I think we'll go bridleway. The shape and form of this bike is, as the bike industry say, optimised for a certain usage. For example, this bike is designed to be sat on most of the time, rather than stood up, hunting down, focusing the eye on technical sections. So it's shorter, it's steeper, and sharper handling. So the answer to the question is yes, I am actually riding up a stream bed on a commuter bike with the lights on, with slick tyres on slick rocks. Perfect combination. And here we are in the mountains after our brief encounter with a riverbed. Folks, bear in mind, if you're embarking on a journey like this, maybe the forest track is the safer option. But what was quite interesting on that riverbed was how much the comfortable seat and large volume tyres compensated for a lack of travel on the back. The question does remain though, will this glorified shopping bike cut it in this environment, or will we simply be cut off? Wow, this is glorious. Now riding some prime sheep single track, and do you know what? This bike is actually really smooth. You cannot overestimate or underestimate the value of a good quality fork on the front of a hardtail bike. Having said that, you've got to watch out for the ruts, as I found out few minutes ago. Alright. You know what, I really like the challenge of doing a ride like this on this bike. Just the one thing I'm a little bit dubious about is those semi-slick tyres. You're really going to be careful when it comes to rocks and roots, because they won't really hold you quite like an aggressive soft compound downhill or enduro tyre will. On trails like this, like I'm riding on now, absolutely fine, absolutely perfect. I'm an eco. I'm actually riding above the speed limiter. I'm now doing 27k. This is fully on my own steam. Trail opens out. Bloody great! Whoa. Getting a bit rocky. Now, I can't overemphasize the importance of having a good quality suspension fork up front. I mean, this Grand Tourer isn't inexpensive, it's about 4,000 euros, but that fork really does take the sting of a trail like this. Oh, more rocks. Here we go. Here we go. I mean, I guess you have got to be a little bit careful on the downhill sections. Yeah. Now we've just kind of reached a sort of break in play, if you like. I've just bumped into my old mate Bumpy here, who says that there's quite a challenge ahead, and challenge is going to be, so he's taken his proper mountain bike made for mountains with 160 or 170 mil travel and has challenged me to a hill climb trial section. Who can get the furthest? It's game on, isn't it, Bumpy?
It is.
It's game on. Who's going to go first?
You want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Right, I'm going to go in trail mode. Bear in mind, I've got slick tyres with 60 psi in them. Oh, bloody hell. What you didn't say is there's a downhill section to actually get there. Holy shit. What the hell? Oh, that's steep. Okay, engage. Easy gear. Stream crossing. Okay, that's me done. Got to the rock. Here he comes, 170 mil travel, super grippy tyres. Oh, and Bumpy's down. I think that is 1-0 to the shopping bike. In the mountain bike world, we have different breeds of bikes, such as cross-country, trail, enduro, and downhill, a little bit like the characters that I'm surrounded by here in the hills. However, when you look at the differences between this bike and the 150 mil enduro mountain bike, you're looking at a steeper head tube angle, a shorter wheelbase, but there are other things which are actually quite similar, such as the seat tube angle and also the chainstay. And that's the reason that this bike can actually climb pretty well. The wheels on the Grand Tourer are 27.5 inch with no travel on the back and a 75mm fork, compared with a 150mm fork, 150mm rear travel and a 27.5 mix on the mountain bike. The Grand Tourer has 2.4 slick tyres for better range and grip on smooth tarmac, compared with soft compound agro rubber on the mountain cross. It has an adjustable stem, a soft seat compared with an adjustable seat and a short stem. And the Grand Tourer has electronic gears which tell you when to change gear. Very fancy. See you guys. Now, one thing to bear in mind if you're taking your city bike into the hills is the fact that because there are more collisions, the ground is rougher, that actually takes more charge out of your battery. So the range that you'll have in the city is actually quite different in the mountains because of all those collisions. I'm riding up this hill in trail mode and I'm looking at my display here and I can see that the range, because I've been charging a bit in trail, the range has gone down quite significantly. So I'm now down to 19 kilometers left, although in eco mode, I've got 40 kilometers left, so quite a significant difference there between the two modes. And straight in with the drop off the hill. Oh crikey, it's a little bit rough. This is possibly the hardest part of the trail so far. Just be careful. See Josh down there, take the easy round. It's always the best approach, I think, on shopping bikes. And that is what it's about. Being in the mountains, not always about riding the bike. I mean, look at that. The view north to Brecon. As you can see here, the trail we just came down is pretty full on. So I think this little bike has done an amazing job, but still a long way to go. Ooh, bloody hell, tasty. Now, obviously, you've got to avoid punctures as well when you're on a bike with tyres made for tarmac. So there you go. As soon as the trail opens out, bike gathers speed, and you're away. Ooh. Riding grass actually worries me more than riding rock because it can get a bit slippy sometimes. Sheep worrying. Can't beat a bit of sheep worrying. Guys, it's okay. I'm going to back off. Is it actually open? Yeah. So here's an old mate from my local town, and there's actually a coffee shop. Are you serious? It's open? Yeah. That is mental.
You getting coffee then? I want to leave the bike there.
Here's my old mate Bumpy, who I bumped into the route, obviously. So I'm just about to put the Husqvarna Grand Tourer in the stand, but stupidly I forgot that I've got a stand, so I don't need to do that. Ta-da! Well, sadly, we're on the homeward leg now. We've got a little bit more of the finely trimmed Wimbledon grass to ride before hitting the narrow country roads, which is actually where this bike really will be in its element. Of course, the great thing about this bike is that this will allow you, the display here will allow you to connect to some third-party devices, some navigational stuff such as Komoot, and help you get home easily. I actually prefer reading a map myself or just working it out as you go along. Another reason to use a mountain bike with tough tyres is the hedge cutting at this time of the year, all those thorns. Then again, maybe thorns will go through thick casing tyres as well. I mean, this is what it's about, right? Just getting out in the mountains. I mean, you don't have to ride on mountain bike trails, you can just ride trails like this. Bloody great. So I'm now looking at my range. Well, I tell you what, it is nice to be on a smooth track. Wow, I'm goosed, or should I say I'm ducked, whatever. What a day, what an absolute banger. Now, this bike actually made the day comfortable in ways which I didn't think it would, such things as the soft squidgy seat and the mudguards, which mean that your feet and your legs don't get wet. Those are really nice touches. And also the upright position, which is great for those transfer stages on the tarmac and also on the canal towpaths. So the only question remains is that can a city Grand Tourer do a mountain bike loop? Yes, well, very much so it can. But whether you should do is another question. I think this bike is definitely more suited to canal towpaths, forest tracks, gentle single track, and of course, that beautiful shortcut grass, which you can only get in the mountains with the sheep. Guys, let us know your thoughts. Please don't forget to subscribe to EMBN because it helps us massively, and we'll see you in the hills next time.